It's fine. Listen, sometimes you click the wrong button to send the audio to the stream, and you just send it somewhere else.
Oh,
and
there's no audio.
And that's what I did. Okay,
Perfect. You have a second chance.
I have a second chance. My name is Matt, and welcome to our Foxhole bi-weekly dev stream. And next to me is HB. Next to him is Mark, and we're here to talk about some really cool stuff today. I think.
Yeah,
it probably might be one of the coolest things.
Yeah,
I won't hype it up, but fuck, it's pretty cool.
I'm excited. We're excited.
You know what? We're usually so good at not hyping things up, Matt, that for once we can hype it up, and then everyone will be let down. Just for once. So,
and people in the chat saying surprise. What is the surprise? And then someone's like, and then someone's like, yeah. No, we wanted to charge for the audio, and that's what people figured out. People are like lore. Well, I guess it's a little bit.
It's a little bit of lore, but it's been a fun. Like we'll talk about it more later, and we'll also talk about it more in the blog that's coming next week. But I guess to sort of talk about it, but not talk about it, we've had a little bit of a break from the normal routine for just a short period of time, just for like about 1 to 2 days to do something slightly different, which will become clear later. And it's been cool. We can't wait to talk about it.
I will say, like you guys probably won't guess it, but
don't challenge.
I'm challenging.
Someone will guess it, and then.
Well, we're not gonna confirm it, so who cares?
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, but
it's gonna be a lot there. Yeah. So maybe
we'll get to it. So let's we're gonna move on really quick and go to the community highlights, which HB, take it away.
Okay, so welcome everybody. Community highlights this week, though we have a problem. Crazy Flying Chicken, which is the person that actually does the community highlights nowadays, has some well-earned vacation time, so he's away. So I didn't actually have a community highlights to pick stuff from. So what I did was I went through, of course, community created content. So I cannot promise that everything that is in here will be in the highlights, which is even big of a chance for you to have a better, to go check the community highlights. Anyway. Let's start with.
Just say now that I've clicked back.
Yes, let's do this. Right, there's no camera in there, so. First of all, I thought this was really cool. This was Pyro John. We talked a lot about Foxhole card game. I have no idea how this is going to be played or anything like that, or what everything actually means. I think it's attack and defense, those things in the middle. I don't know what 4K1, 5K1 means, but just as a concept for a card game, it looks cool as hell.
Yeah, I was gonna say this. This just makes me excited to look at.
Yeah,
I'm just like, oh, the possibilities here are really, really endless and interesting, and it looks really polished. Like I can see these being real cards. That's the thing that really struck me.
Well, this is one in a long line of history
of people
making card games, and I think we really get it because we've always talked about wanting to do something like that, and speaking of taking a break to do fun things, I'd like to take a break at some point and
do a card game.
I think that'll be really fun.
Like a mobile companion app with in-app purchases, and you can.
It fits the game so well. It totally. I don't know what it is, but the spirit of this is in the spirit of Foxhole. It's so. It kind of hits the nail on the head in terms of what it's about. Like it's kind of like an RPG, it's kind of like a strategy game, and these role-playing elements sort of plays into the card game aspect, which is really cool.
I absolutely agree. I thought every time we see new card games, people do that for different styles of card games, and some are more like Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic, some are more like the war related, and every time it always gets us thinking on how could we potentially adapt Foxhole to a card game, and it's really, really exciting.
We'll have to get Julian to work on concept art for a year.
Yeah, just 98 cards on the first set.
Yeah.
Start today, Julian. The second thing that I had, somebody that we've seen before, but as usual, nice art coming. Bogdan, which is always has his creations, yeah. And this one I thought it was really nice because it's kind of like a throwback to how the towers, the radio towers used to work, in which you would like have like a signal for when an enemy is actually inside that area. But in this case, it's of course it's a different kind of tower. It's an alarm tower, so it's a sound alarm instead of a visual alarm.
Right.
And also it triggers when you have a certain number of enemies, not just a single one or anything like that. So it's more geared toward invasions, I would say.
Right.
And it's less precise, so you never know where exactly they're coming. You just know that tower on that area has seen a certain number of enemies, for instance, like 5 or 6.
Yeah, it's a good point, and it is interesting how the game has changed when the alarm system per se was removed from the game, because we used to have that alert, right? And maybe we need to bring that back at some point, but this is a cool concept regardless.
Yeah, no, I thought it was great. I thought it fits very well into the how the game works.
Yeah,
like it's in as much that is very similar to the original radio tower, but still with its own spin that still fits in the game today. Because there is an element that is underutilized. For example, the sound is very underutilized on this aspect of the Intel. Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
And it could be just another option for Intel people. So I think it's really, really cool. And the last thing, this is a video that Frick did.
This is really awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. We cannot put sound. I'm gonna add sound, but we have to keep talking because otherwise, the last time that we had a video like this in which there was music playing, the video was muted on Twitch, and I had problems later on when I was editing. So I'm gonna jump ahead. This is a really sweet animation that Frick did. He's been doing like a couple of these animations. He did some before, and he continues doing this. And this, you cannot hear it, Mark, but What a Wonderful World is...
No, I've seen this.
You've seen, yeah. This one made the rounds in the office.
Yeah, this one made the rounds, so...
And it's really sweet. I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. And I'm not gonna spoil the ending, but it's just like a sweet like panning shot of like Siva, what is happening there, and it's just like as if it was a tourist promotional video or something like that. But anyway, I hope you guys have a chance to check this out. We're gonna try to post a link on. It's gonna be on the community highlights for sure. And we're gonna see if we can post a link to it for the video what is it called?
Community highlights.
Community highlights is gonna be there, but I was saying right now, do we have a
chat?
I don't think we have a link.
Okay, so if somebody knows the link,
one of the mods want to post a link or something.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think you guys should check it out. I'm not gonna spoil the ending or anything like that. Particularly because I had to like keep talking over the video. But yeah, so I don't know what KFC is gonna add for the community highlights later on, but guys, check it out. Continue submitting all your amazing creations, and we'll keep enjoying them. And for people that are worried, no, this is not part of the how the game is developing. This is just what the community creates. This is like any player can make anything, and we'll check them out. And if it's cool, we're gonna add it on a big blog post every 2 weeks.
You know what's crazy? We've been doing community highlights for 2 years now, I think.
Yeah, I think it's community
really
highlights like 50 years. 55, something like that.
Yeah,
and if it's every 2 weeks.
I think longer than our stream. We've had community highlights.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Like it's a
I
few
think
numbers
we're
ahead.
about to come around to our 2-year anniversary for the streams too, which is
that's a lot.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should go find the date and do something special. I mean, it could be today. I don't even know.
It could be, honestly. I know we started.
Fall of 2016,
I know we started in October or November, so.
Oh yeah.
I think it was October. It might be the next stream, but
Oh yeah, it might be.
But speaking of community stuff, I just want to take a moment and say I'm going to be opening a temporary channel in the Discord called Devblog Q&A. I want you guys to ask questions, burning questions that you want me to find out the answers to. And in a dev blog, I will answer the most interesting questions in a longer form than you might get here. So do that. It's going to work like our round table, where it's only open for a small period of time. It'll probably be up for like a few days to a week, and then we'll close it again until I want to ask more questions. So look for that at the end of the stream.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Cool.
All right. So we're going to move on to
our update,
our development update, which, like I said, all right, let's go.
Cool. Yeah.
Take it away, Mark.
So 018 is going to be much smaller than 017. But because as you guys know, 017 was a huge update, and we usually follow it up with more fine tuning of mechanics that we put in, some quality of life stuff, some game balance things, and that shouldn't be too far off. But there is one really cool thing that we have been working on. And just to sort of review the roadmap, we said that we'd be doing 018 updates middle of this month, and then there will be a special event later this month, and then another update, and then the end of the year, huge update. So you can kind of see here where we're at in our fall roadmap. And so, yeah, I guess I'll just jump into talking about this
let's do it.
cool thing that we're working
Dive
on.
in.
It's been really fun to work on it. So this is the promo, and basically it's going to be an event that is happening later this month that's rolling out with 018. It's called the Dead Harvest Accord event. And this is actually a little bit of a funny story behind this, because we started talking about doing this event various times in the past, but really the conversation came up again at PAX West, actually, when a few of us, HB, Outcast, Max, and myself, we were out one day. I don't know if we were eating seafood or something. I don't know if it was that day or like another day, but
we were probably out eating and drinking for sure.
We were out and we're like, okay, we should try something new. Like, let's do like a real event. Because usually with our seasonal events, you know, I think we had a snowball fight one, and we usually dress up the visuals in the game for some of these other seasonal events. And we decided, you know, we're like, hey, we should make the time to do something a bit more this time, because we always want to. And we felt also that, like, you know, we're always heads down working on all the serious issues for the game. Like, there's a lot to. We've been working on this for 2.5 years now, and we were sort of like, okay, maybe we should take this seriously. So then at that lunch, we talked about a few ideas, and then we came back to the office. I know we talked about it again at the office, and everyone was really excited about the idea. And then it went silent for a while. We didn't talk about it, but then we decided that, hey, we don't really have time for this because of everything else that's happening this fall.
We never have time.
We never have time. We have the huge update at the end of the year and all this other stuff that's going on. There's a lot of issues that came from 017. But we were like, let's do this like a game jam, right? And I'm not usually a huge fan of game jams.
Do people know what game jams are? So if you don't know, a game jam is basically something that is very common on game development for small studios and for big studios. Sometimes they do it, aspiring developers do it. It's basically they get together for like 1-2 days depending on the game jam, and in that very, very short time frame, they have to put something together. Usually there's a theme. In our case, it was on our own personal Clapfoot game jam.
It was like a mod. Our game jam theme was make a mod for the October event, right? And so we're like, what can we do in a matter of 1 to 2 days? And we planned it all out, and we're like, let's do this cool event. and we were able to get it done. We weren't sure if we would. That
was a big
we didn't really want to we didn't really want to like derail the whole like development for like a long period of time
Of course,
either.
yeah.
So that was like a big part of it. But I think we put together
kind of
cool.
just made the finish line, and I think we were able to put in more than what we originally thought we would, because the first cut of it was a lot more simple. And as we were working on it, we're like, hey, let's just add this. And it's also one of the things that happens is that when you're working on something like this that's kind of separate from everything else, you can move a lot faster, right? Because when you want to add something to World Conquest, it's very different. It's like you have to consider a million factors. You have to consider the mods. You have to consider the griefing. You have to consider hundreds of players slamming the server. You have to consider just a million things, right? And like even something so tiny, like we just want to change one tiny thing. Well, guess what? It's not one tiny thing. It's a whole bunch of stuff. But working on this specific event was almost like a huge relief for us, because we were able to just be like, no, we don't have to worry about all these issues. It's just for an event. It's we don't have to worry if there's too many problems, and as long as it's fun, we should do it. So, anyways, getting to the actual mode. If you want to switch back to these slides, so we can take a look at this cool screenshot of this event. It's interesting because even though it is like a zombie game mode, but it has sort of the Foxhole spin on it, right? So I'm gonna walk through some of the rules of the game. Basically, it will be in special location on the travel map, first of all. So like you'll go into the game, once the event starts, there's gonna be a new location you can go to, right?
Yeah.
And it will be based on Tempest Island. And basically, when you enter the game, you enter the game as a warden or a colonial soldier. And after a certain amount of time, a certain number of players will turn into a zombie, basically, right? And from that point forward, the goal of the living is to try to survive for as many days as they can, and the goal of the zombies will basically be to try to take down the safe house of the survivors. And there's a lot of rules that I want to go through, so I guess we'll just start talking about it. And if I miss anything, guys, just sort of hop in and we can talk a little bit more about it. But basically, the undead side will have levels they can gain. So anytime they kill a human survivor, they will gain a level, and that will make them stronger, faster, right? And
scarier. Considerably
scarier,
scarier, in my opinion.
They will visually change, which is kind of cool. And there's a couple other things like at nighttime, zombies will get stronger, and basically what will end up happening is once a zombie kills a human, they will turn into a zombie as well, right? So eventually the zombies will overrun the humans, and the goal is just to survive
as long as you can.
As long as you can, right? And on the human side, the human survivor side, you have your safe house. The wardens and the colonials have they basically will be located at a base at the center of the map, and I'll show you the map in a moment. And they will have to try to survive as long as they can. And there is a caveat, is that they will start off with nothing, and if they want to gain access to factories, refineries, vehicle factories, they have to venture out into the world and try to get them and try to bring them back to their base, right?
Yep.
So it's going to be, and when they venture out into the world, obviously the zombies can try to catch them there, right? So
it's important to sort of mention like a couple things before we dig into this further. Number one is that logic is going to be simplified for this. And secondly, there will be sort of things kind of strewn around the world a little bit as well, so you're not just totally caught. But furthermore, this is also like a temporary thing. This is like an event, not like.
Yeah.
I think some people are under the impression this is like a permanent event. This is just going to be.
This is only for Halloween.
Should have mentioned that very important point.
A short amount of time only, and that you can only play.
This will only be available for probably a week.
Yeah.
We're still figuring out exactly how that's going to work, so we'll have more news on that. And it is temporary, right? As of now, at least. So I don't know what could happen ever in the realm of possibilities, but the current plan is for it to be a week. And like Matt said, besides gaining access to factories in the world, you'll also be able to find weapons and items on the ground, in old houses. If you venture out into towns, they're just going to be scattered items you can pick up. So you kind of have to scavenge as well. That's a lot of rules. I feel like I missed a lot, Matt. Maybe you guys can fill in the gaps because there's so many little things.
Yeah, there's a lot of little things. So just to kind of simplify everything, if you're a human, you have a safe house. You have to protect the safe house. If you're a zombie, you have to try to attack the safe house, destroy it. When you die, you will respawn as a zombie, and you will not be able to respawn back until the game ends.
Yes.
So, this is about survival. It's about holding out as long as you possibly can as a human team. So, one of the things that I think we really wanted to do was just not just do like against a bunch of AI and stuff. We wanted to make it feel like Foxhole.
Everything that you see is controlled by a player, right? Each zombie is a player.
Exactly, yeah. And the other thing too is even just with regards to the lore and everything, it's called the Dead Harvest Accord. Because it's about colonials and wardens for the first time standing side by side, and I think there's some really interesting stuff in there. There will be a little bit of zombie lore, but one of the things that you should also think about is Red Dead Redemption, the Undead Nightmare sort of DLC that they added. Think of it kind of like that. It's like an alternate sort of thing. You probably won't hear about this in the Conquest world, but and I think there's some really interesting scenarios because you guys as humans have
access to
the center, this really easily fortified space that you can build walls and you can go sort of keep stuff out. But as soon as you need something, you have to leave. And because you have to leave, that exposes you. And I think there could be some really interesting gameplay there.
Also the fact that zombies, they can attack and they're pretty strong when attacking, but they don't get to use any weapons. They don't have to carry anything with them. And that's where you as if you're a human still alive, you have to build yourself up to be able to fight those zombies.
Yeah. And if you're really good at being a zombie, then you're gonna get stronger, and that's because being a zombie, you will have a disadvantage in that you don't have a gun. So being able to get stronger is really interesting.
And actually, there was a part of the story that I had missed. Another one of the motivations of this is this idea also came up randomly in one of the roundtables. I think people from the community also suggested a lot of the same ideas that were being tossed around like The Office. So it was kind of cool. It was definitely for those of you that were part of that roundtable, you should remember when we were talking about it, because a lot of those ideas, they came back into this event, right? So just wanted to mention that this is a
very collaborative.
It was a very collaborative event. So yeah. And I think that's the gist of it. So we'll have some more information about when it's going to be happening, and the devs I know are going to be part of the very first event.
Yes, for
so
sure.
It should be very fun. We're going to see how many we can pack into one server, right? There's going to be at least 100, probably more than 100. So imagine the very end of that, it'll be like 100 zombies versus.
A couple of people.
Just the devs, right? Devs are totally going to survive till the end.
Oh yeah, we play so well.
We're the best players in the game.
Yes.
So, I guess that's kind of it for the event. Moving forward, just want to run through a a couple of things coming to 018. A lot of the stuff we talked about in the blog, but I just wanted to give an overview again. Obviously, there's the event. There's the big change to logistics that's going to allow factory orders to be shared with your squad and your faction. And that translates into resource mines being able to be operated more like a public system, which will be kind of cool. And then there's a bunch of quality of life changes that we're working on. One of them is that your home base status migrates from forts to towns, because we've always seen players get frustrated by their home base being stuck at a fort after they've taken a town, and there's no lodge structures and such around it. One small thing is the grenade aim indicator showing when your trajectory is blocked, which has been another frustrating point that we've kind of heard from players. Submit starter kit button on the base screen. This is just a small thing, and this, eventually I hope we can find a better general solution to this. But in the meantime, we want to fix all the players dropping their starter kits right in front of a base, and it being really annoying to have all these items dropped on the ground at the front of the base. And on the game design side, there's a bunch of things that we're taking a look at. Obviously, the garrison facility costs is been a point of contention, and we're going to be taking a look at those numbers, taking a look at the garrison supplies as well. Now that we've seen the first pass of that working on live, we're probably going to take a look at that. Shotguns is another thing that we're probably going to see some balancing down there. But we're not changing it too much. It'll just be some tweaks to help find the correct balance there. Pistol revolver stability, in 017 we made it so that the pistol and revolver have a much faster stability recharge time from going from moving to your first shot, to sort of give them a unique characteristic. But we found that it brought back a little bit of the shadow dancing, so we're tuning those numbers back a bit. Seat switching speed, we originally intended seat switching to be a lot slower, but the numbers ended up being faster than we want to, so we're going to be making some changes there. And that's kind of it for 018. It's not it's not going to be a huge update, but it's just sort of going to be like a maintenance update, which should help smooth some things over. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome.
Sounds good. All right, guys, ask your questions in the chat, and we'll try to answer what we can. There's one thing that came up 100,000 times in this stream that I want to ask a question of, Mark. Fly car fix? Question mark.
What the hell are the fly car fix?
Do you know about this?
Like there's somebody.
Apparently, it's a big deal. I've never heard of it.
Are they talking about a desync truck? Is that what they
might be?
Maybe. Yeah. It says flying, like I guess flying cars. Is there a fix coming for that? Are we even aware of it? Because now we are.
No, we found some. I think that came up in testing a while back, and we weren't able to reproduce it. So any information you have on that, just send me a DM about it, or even better, email foxhole@clapfootgames.com.
For that particular thing, yeah.
And send us as much information as you can. So if you know how to reproduce it, then we can fix it.
If you have a video of it happening,
also helps a lot.
That would be good. If you can reliably do it over and over again, let us know, because obviously we haven't been able to make it happen on our end.
Basically, if we can reproduce the issue, there's really high chance we can fix it quickly. If we can't reproduce the issue, that's the bottleneck, right?
Yeah.
And if it's a meme, stop spamming it in the chat. So I don't know what's true anymore. So either give us the information so we can fix it, because obviously it's a thing. But if it's a meme and you're just spamming chat, then mods.
Yeah.
You can do what you do.
So if you send information, also since it might be related to some difference between the server and your local machine knowing where the truck is, send us where you are in the world. it might help to know if you're far, if you have lag, if you don't have lag, or something like that.
Right.
Bionic 2000 asks, can you level up speed as a zombie in the event?
Yes, that is included. So as you kill humans, I believe there's 3 things happen. One is you will run faster. You will deal more damage, and you can absorb more damage. So maximum level is 10. If you reach 10, then you will be very fast.
Scarily so, yeah.
Yeah, we were testing some of it out yesterday, and I think the HB can attest to being scared, being scary to be chased by a human zombie, like a human controlled zombie in the game. And at basically at midnight, all the zombies in the world will gain 3 levels. So everyone will suddenly be a lot strong. All the zombies will get a lot stronger, right? So there's almost this. There will be this pacing of you got to survive during the day. You got to do your logi. You got to scrap. You got to refine. You got to build your vehicles, and then
clean up as well during the day.
You better bring everything back to the base by nightfall, because that's when the zombies will get a lot stronger. So.
You'll be able to tell how strong a zombie is by the intensity of the glowing in their eyes. Yeah, I think so. So I don't know. I'm really excited about it. It's pretty cool. I'm excited just to see like one guy running from like a bunch of like level 5 zombies, and
there's some really secrets in this event too. I'm not talking about that.
Well, keep your eyes open.
Keep your eyes open.
There was one other question. Since Croter asks, Crow-T9R, I don't know how to, I'm going to call him Crow. Since you touch regional HQ's next patch, any idea about the full removal of, quote, free spawns?
Sorry, I didn't catch that first part.
Since we're adjusting the regional HQs this next patch, do you have any thoughts about removing free spawns?
Yeah, so the free spawn, the issue with free spawns is not just the gameplay issue. If it was just a gameplay issue, we would have removed that from the very beginning, right? It has to do with the queues and having to control the population and make sure the population is easily spread across the entire conquest. So that basically, when it boils down to it, the problem, it is part of our solutions for making sure that when the average player logs in, and I'm talking the average player, not specific players that are willing to wait in the queue for a really long time. I'm talking about the average player gets in the game, them being able to go to the travel screen and have a really, really low chance that they're going to be stuck in the queue, right? And and that is tied into regions not being locked down. Like, regions being locked down means queues, right? So it's something that's not obvious all the time, and I can understand like players being like, why do you do this, why do you do that, and that's one of the things that we do to avoid the region lock-in, right? Or the region lockdown rather. And besides that, we basically have to do anything we can to push the fighting away from the borders. Like, our goal is to make it basically that the fighting doesn't happen at the borders, because that's really lame. Who wants to have a battle that's across the border? People don't want to do that, right? It's not fun. And that's one of the things we do to ensure that the battle is not happening at the border, right? So, yeah.
Maybar 66, I think. That number is really bright. Asks, when will you be getting Twitch partnership? People with bad internet connection like me would be happy to have the option to change quality of the Twitch stream. Unfortunately, Twitch partnership is not something we can just like get. Maybe if we were able to reach out to somebody, but we don't have any contacts. So, usually they require a lot of like streaming rules, and usually it's about time and viewership. To a certain degree, we have the viewership. We just don't stream more than
once every 2 weeks.
More,
I don't think we've ever tried. either.
We haven't reached out. Yeah. It's not something we've ever tried to do. Yeah. We've never been offered like affiliate status or anything like that, simply because we don't meet the random requirements for like hours and stuff, because we only stream once every 2 weeks, which is not enough. So, you know, it's not something we've really reached out to try to do or anything, but we can talk about it. I mean, if we ever...
We can also talk on the possibility of streaming more. It's just that it might definitely won't be as produced, and it has to be something, if you do something like that, it has to fall in line with the whole schedule of developing the game, of course.
Yeah, so there's a lot of reasons why. I'm sorry that you don't have encoding options. That is not just it's not just relegated to Twitch partners and affiliates. It's actually a first come, first served basis. So if a lot of people are streaming, they'll go to the partners first, then affiliates, then non. So some days you'll have it, some days you won't. It's just the way it is.
Although that's another reason why I make sure that every single stream is on YouTube, like in the same week, or hopefully in the same week, so that in there you can have like you can watch it again and rewatch it as many times as you want, and the quality that you want.
So this is an interesting question, Mark, and I would like to get your opinion on it. Russian Pride asks, is there any plans to make more smooth frontline experience without bridges?
A more smooth frontline experience without bridges?
Yeah, because on the bridges it's very clear. Maybe that's what he's.
But you can bottleneck.
You can bottleneck, and you know where the front line is, and like there's battles happening there. But without them, things are a little bit more open. Is that the question?
That's my feeling.
Yeah.
Actually, we kind of feel like there's not enough bridges in the game. If I have to be honest, I think that they're only heavily utilized in a couple of regions.
It's mostly around the center, and I think that may be what sort of the thought is like make it so that it's not just the center that has a front line, but like the thing is that that'll always happen anyway, just because of the way, like unless we totally change the way like the port bases and all that stuff are set up. But we sort of do that intentionally though. Like if you'll notice that there's a river that runs through the entire center, and each map has bridges. Like we didn't sort of randomly come to that. We do want there to be a push and pull and sort of like a choke point happening in the center. That's all there. Because when you get into wars and other parts of other maps, it sort of will give you that feeling. Like if you get into a big war in Heartlands, for instance, it's a bunch of big open fields,
yeah, I actually think that on the average, the front line might not even be at the center. I actually think that if you were to take all the conquests, but I don't know. I mean, if that's not what you mean, then send us more details, and we'll definitely think about it.
Yeah, if you have some ideas, always post some suggestions, and make sure you follow the format and everything. But we look at all that stuff. It's not like we don't. But yeah, we feel like there could be like more uses of rivers and stuff across the game world in general. But I don't know. Maybe that's just something that we are really into. I'm not sure. Yeah. Killers LLC asks, are you considering rebalancing upgrade parts? Thousands of upgrade parts for armory and refinery is extreme, given a truck can only hold 15.
Yeah, we're gonna be reducing the numbers for the base facilities, so that not as many parts will be required. In terms of carrying, we're keeping an eye on that, but we like it's one of those things where we want to wait and see, right? It's obviously gone harder, and but the war finished, right? The last war finished, and obviously some of the numbers were a bit off. We changed some of them, but I really think that in any case, even if we were to change the upgrade parts, we could always make things. We can always change the numbers, so it's not so much. But I think one thing that we don't really want to change is the idea that you can carry like hundreds of these just in your backpack, because that's something that's been to us broken from the very beginning of the game. The fact that you can do these really significant things in the game with just throwing a bunch of stuff in your backpack. And I think, even if the numbers change, even if things get easier in that regard, I think that philosophy is something that we're not going to go back on, right? Mm-hmm. Even if the numbers are right, if that makes sense. So I think the philosophy is here to stay. The numbers can change, and we're going to continue to hear feedback, and we'll continue to make changes. Just like in this current war, we already made some changes so that the bases don't. They require, I think, half. That's like 100. There's a 50% reduction in upgrade part requirements. Mm-hmm. So even in one war iteration, we already changed a lot. And I think we can continue to change things as we hear your feedback. But I think the philosophy is here to stay. So.
Lowlife334 asks, can you increase the chat font size or maybe add some font size options?
Yeah, yes. We can. Yeah, I mean...
So to rephrase, do you think there'll be more customizable UI options, even if it's just like sort of general settings in like, our settings, so that you can sort of change the font size, maybe customize certain elements a little bit more or something?
That's something that we actually talk about when we were doing the UI refactor, on how this new UI allows us to have more control over that, just on our side, but also opens up the possibility of doing that. Before, our UI was considerably more rigid than what it is right now, and I think that right now, due to the different way that we are setting up the UI, a lot of things are open for having options for the players. It's not top priority right now, to be honest, but it's totally doable, I believe.
Yeah, it's totally doable. The thing with UI is it's very time consuming and it's almost endless. You can always improve something. You can always add an extra option. You can always customize. You can go as far as like World of Warcraft, where you have like user created UI templates and stuff like that. So it's just a matter of finding the time to get this stuff in there. But
it would be great if we could, for instance, have like all the colors that are customizable, all the font and size and everything like that, so that people that are colorblind, for instance, would be able to choose whatever color they want to make
I think
it
that's
easier.
I think that's the kind of stuff we'll probably consider like when we get closer to 1.0. But yeah.
People want to know if we have an update for outfits. I've seen it many times. This question in particular comes from Crater7.
Yeah, I answer this question all the time.
I know it just seems like it's like
it's like we haven't. It's a combination of we've tried a couple of things, right? We've had 2 separate experiments with outfits. I think both of them we posted on our blog at some point in the past. And we still are not happy with how it went, and also on in terms of how it's going to integrate in the game. That's also right now we don't see that as a big part of the game, but we haven't given up on it. I think that's something maybe next year we'll come back to again, and the rest of this year is already like. Besides making balance changes and quality of life changes and stuff like that, which we're always going to do on an ongoing basis. In terms of the big features, this year is pretty set in stone at this point. And outfits is not part of this year's plan, so maybe it'll be next year, right?
I think one of the big challenges that comes up is we don't want to see like a kaleidoscope of like soldiers on one team.
We never want to have
exactly
like a complete like mixed match of like, we like the unity of it a lot, so it has to conform to that first.
And what that sort of means is like how does it, because in a lot of like I'm not gonna like go out of my way and say like it's perfect in other games either, but like in a lot of shooters you kind of just like see the like red icon when you put your cursor over them and you shoot. And then when you see someone's name over another player, you're like, okay, that's players on my team. But in Foxhole, you see everything you see like your entire team running around. And it actually matters when you see that uniform sometimes. And we don't want it to be A, confusing, or B, just look like a mess. And I think there's a lot of challenges there in terms of making it not only impact the game in a positive team way, but also making it really fit and not just being like crazy.
Yeah, like we always say that the most important thing is that you feel like a single soldier in a massive war, and pulling off outfits while meeting that goal is challenging, but definitely doable. Definitely something that we want to take a look at again. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that's great is that we can't be so critical about this because we don't sell like microtransactions, so we don't have to force costumes and all this other things. I know HB, you hate it when games make you pay for your visuals, right?
Yeah,
like,
I love visuals are important.
So like, you know, we have that luxury, which is part of the reason why we're taking our time, because if we do it, it's going to be because it's right for the game, not because we want to sell microtransactions, right? Which we hate, by the way, in case you haven't known by now.
and furthermore, we don't want to like incentivize things that like for individual players, particularly. Like, remember, our game is a team-based game, and I think something like having a medic makes a lot of sense. Like,
exactly.
In terms of like a team play, but just being like, I want to wear a cape. Like, that's just not like, just don't.
Hats.
I would say there wouldn't be hats. Like, if you have a hat, it's because you're fulfilling a role.
Yeah.
And I just I don't know. I just wouldn't expect that that kind of thing. And
so to make a long answer short, we have to find a very fine balance between being functional for our game and being interesting for us to do it, basically.
Yeah.
Right. So. And
we like to shit on microtransactions, so any opportunity we can slide that in there, we're just gonna do it.
Roy Rosa asks, "Can I buy an island?" Roy Rosa asks, "Can I buy an island with my name?" I already made one for you. It's called Partisan Island.
You know what? We should have like a whole region that just like player names out of nowhere, and then like. Yeah,
that people can buy,
and then we can sell microtransactions for that.
No Lightning's End.
No, Lightning's End will be banned.
If you want to buy your plot of land, you got to pay money. Like, that's
real money, yeah. Not like scrap. Is the idea of towing FMGs and FAs hindered by a technical problem, or is it just not a priority?
It's a technical problem first. Getting that physics of that to work correctly. On our simulation engine on a server. Basically, it's a server issue, like because we have to simulate lots of player characters in the game, lots of actors, like literally thousands of structures. Doing something like some kind of hardcore physics that would allow something like artillery towing is just not, the trade-off there is not worth it. Actually blows my mind. Sometimes I go into the game and I look at the stats and there's literally thousands of objects. Thousands. I know you guys don't see it all the time because you're kind of playing the game. You're like, I'm walking here, there's a bunch of walls, a bunch of foxholes, but there's thousands of structures in the game sometimes. And
remember that our servers need to track not only every wall and every piece of sandbag that is made, but also the state it is in.
Yeah. And bullets.
And
movement.
And all the destructible fences and all the houses.
And all the objects on the ground.
All the objects that are dropped on the ground. Like, when you really start to think about it, our servers work overtime.
Yeah. I mean, I think the programming team has done a good job in making it all work even. I actually don't know if there's another Unreal Engine game that supports up to 150 players per region.
That amount of it.
Maybe like Squad is pretty close.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but anyways,
it's shorter.
Yeah,
you're really short games. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, if our games were 1 hour long, it would not get to thousands of structures, and we'd be able to support more players. But we're actually, while we're on that topic, we're going to get the number higher. Like, it's something we're working on still. We just haven't worked on it for a long time. But we have some time scheduled in the near future to work on that again, and I really want to see that move up, because I want the battles to be even larger than they are now. Yeah.
Even larger battles mean more people at each region, means more people can join in and have fun, and
means more zombies.
More zombies, yeah.
I'm gonna ask one more question before we have our last. So 2 more questions. Sticks. asks, did you ever think about crippling body parts?
Actually, yes, crippling, like you can shot in the leg. I think we discussed this when we discussed stagger and stuff like that. We have, for instance, tested some animations for stagger and things like that. I remember that at least at that point in development, which was like more than a year ago, easily, it felt really bad being staggered and like not being able to like walk like that. It was weird. But I think the concept of maybe you losing an arm or something like that you cannot work with it anymore, therefore you are like you're not as productive if you're a builder or something like that, is actually kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a very Foxhole type of idea. Like there's some gameplay things there, like why wouldn't you just like suicide
and go back?
Yeah, so that'd be the first question I would ask. But if you know a good way that can integrate into the gameplay, we'd like to hear about it, because it's to me that's a very like in the spirit of Foxhole type of idea.
It is something that we will be totally open to revisiting. Anyway.
Oh yeah,
it's like it's a neat thing. It didn't work at that time, but who knows? By now the game is completely different.
But we do have the stagger, which is a little similar, and I think like the stagger is something that
it's very very controversial.
It's very controversial, but like it also makes like if you get shot, even if you get shot and you're like don't die, you're not going to be easily moving right afterwards. Yeah. So like the stagger makes a lot of sense.
You can't still run at supersonic speed after you get hit by.
By the way, if you guys actually measure the speed that the characters run, and it's absolutely insane in relationship to real life. It's
next game won't be like that.
Yeah,
they're gonna walk slower.
It starts breaking the animations. I'm sure it's insane.
Okay, so we have one last question, and it's a very special question. Well, the question itself isn't very special, but the way we received it is very special. So HB, take it away.
This is our first fan mail. This is the first piece of mail.
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, I know. We received from Kulos. Clues is what I usually say. Okay, it's really cool because we received this there's a
lot of pressure now.
This letter from him, and this is the first piece of fan mail. So we decided.
So he told me, okay, so it's addressed to me. Well, it's addressed to Clapfoot, and then said that I have to open it. So we checked to make sure it wasn't a bomb.
It's gonna say "Stay Foxy."
Yeah.
and
first of all, there's a pretty cool drawing of a tank.
Can you get closer?
Of a tank trap, yeah. Which is really cool. I already thought it was pretty neat.
But then, so it says that I have to open it, but then it says HB is the best at reading poetry. Excuse me. He's got an accent. I can't even compete with that. So
yeah, man, you're born in Canada. That's boring.
I was born
like me. Boring country.
Says HB is the best at reading poetry. Hand the card to him if available. He's not available. So
so I don't know why he was the one supposed to open. But there's a little poem here. There is a man from Brackish. He requisitioned a package. Currently bleeding, desperately needing more thorns, just one bandage. It doesn't rhyme. What's up? Pretty cool. And there's a question as well, so I'll hand it out to him.
So the question is, will there be directions to logistics players in regards to where an item is needed, but conversely, will storage facilities be able to advertise the item's availability?
Dude. So yeah, we have that feature. I think how long ago was
didn't we do a blog spot?
I think we did a dev stream on it. We have a feature. Look a couple of dev streams back, and we do have a feature that is almost exactly that. But we're still planning on looking at that, but we took a little bit of a step back to reevaluate it a bit. Not because we don't want to do it, but because we're trying to figure out the best way to integrate that in a way that feels like elegant and not like this forced UI thing. That's not a good way of putting it, but we definitely want to do it. So if you have any like really good ideas on how to do this specific thing while it's sort of feeling very natural, like it fits as a part of the game as opposed to like an external. I suppose like a tacked on feature. We'd love to hear about it, right?
Well, yeah, there's several considerations. Like the reason, like I'm 100% sure we showed this because we
showed it on the stream. Yeah,
we showed it on
sure
the stream, like things that we were thinking about, things that we are still considering doing, and we have to consider that it cannot overburden the logistics team. So whatever it is that like allows this information to happen cannot overburden the logistics team. It can. There's some technical considerations with our servers, so it can't be just like a list of everything and whatever. It's not good if it's automated because we try to make sure that our games are things in our game are not automated. So like there's so many like small pieces that
see, I think that last point is the one that I'm the most worried about. Is that one cool thing about our game is that everything happens very organically, right? Like players sort of figure out the optimal way of doing something, and as soon as we introduce something like this, the fear is that like we're saying what the optimal way of doing things are. So what we want to do is what we like doing is doing tools like player operations, where we give you something very
vague and open,
very broad and open. Yeah. Like you get to chat with this group that is supposed to be doing something together.
But what that something
is, it's like we don't want to say, here are the 3 mission types. Do these 3 mission types from a drop-down menu. Like we want to be like, we give you the power to do whatever you want, right? And for doing this logistics tool that was suggested, we want to do it in a similar way, and we haven't fully figured it out yet. We had some ideas that we liked and we showed them in the past stream, but we're still taking a look at that. We're not done with that one for sure. So any ideas you have, please let us know. Yeah.
And thank you for the letter and the drawing.
Thank you.
I think
awesome.
I think they may not have been here, but thank you anyway. And people
watch
should
the YouTube.
Watch the YouTube video.
I'll send the YouTube link to them. Post.
Speaking of YouTube.
Oh yes, if you are watching this, we are coming to the end of the dev stream. So if you are watching this on YouTube and you didn't have a chance to ask questions because it's pre-recorded, catch us on Twitch every 2 weeks at 2 p.m. EST. But if you still wanna talk to us, join our Discord, also up here. Send us letters. It's cool. Don't send us glitter.
No. You just ruined. I hate you.
No, people.
Because they're gonna send it to me.
Then do it.
Like I said earlier, look in the Discord for a new Q&A channel that's going to be for the dev blog coming up. If I'll probably be the one answering them. But if you want to answer like really deep questions about like other parts of the things that I don't work on,
can I add that? Add something to that?
Sure.
Since we are, as you guys probably noticed, we changed the way the dev blogs work, in which they talk a little bit more in depth of a certain subject that has not been covered on the dev stream. If you want to send also suggestions of things that you want to know or learn about the development, about us, about like Clapfoot in general, you can also send suggestions to Matt in regards to that. Those kind of questions are also very valid. Like, how do you guys do this, and this? And maybe somebody will be able to write a nice post about it.
Yeah, so if you want to know specifically about like game development stuff or how we did something in the game, then just message me on Discord. But if you have a question about the current state of the game, ask in that Q&A thing, and I'll try to find out the answer. Anyway, thank you for coming and hanging out, and I hope you're excited about the Dead Harvest Accord as we are. I think it's going to be really fun and really interesting. Unfortunately, I won't be there on the Friday to experience it with everybody, but...
don't worry, I will.
But HB will be there. As always, stay foxy. Now I have to awkwardly reach over.
That is so weird.